This is the proposed director or president of the BRICS Bank, MDB. That's what it's called, New Development Bank. Let's listen to what she says here. I'll read it aloud because she's speaking in Portuguese, and then Ben comes on and kind of gives a synopsis. So let's listen.
At the NDB, we have committed to it in our strategy. For the period from 2022 to 2026, NDB has to lend 30% in local currency, and so 30% of our...
So local currency, MDB, that's the BRICS Bank, will be lending 30% in local currency is what she's saying here, just to make sure we know.
Our loan book will be financed in the currencies of our member countries.
The new multipolar world order is growing more and more by the day. This March and April were very historic months. We saw many developments happen very quickly, especially in terms of de-dollarization, with more and more countries in the global south challenging the hegemony of the US dollar. Now, at the heart of this project is the BRICS. That's Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. This is an economic and political bloc of developing.
That these different shades of people, this is what the United States fear. This is what capitalists fear. This.
That's a terrifying, that's like,
yes.
That's like nightmare fuel for capitalists right there. What a picture.
Yeah. And of different shades of people, but this is what it takes to take down.
No, that's white supremacy's
hegemony.
biggest enemy right there. That's white supremacy's biggest enemy. Like these people represent countries that white supremacy has waged war on.
Right.
Look at every single one of these. China, India. Remember what the UK did to India and the genocide that they sponsored? Like this is terrifying. And what the West has done in Russia, South Africa, the apartheid that UK and the United States passively support. This is the enemies of white supremacy and imperialism band together to take down their enemy, which is something that I wanted to see, but I did not think I would see anytime soon.
Yeah, it's been sped up, definitely. There's about another 30 seconds of this, and then we'll end this segment here.
Developing countries, many of which were formerly colonized, and together they have around 1/3 of global GDP when measured by purchasing power parity. So that's about 1/3 of the size of the entire global economy. And the BRICS has been talking about developing a new global reserve currency to challenge the dollar. The discussions to create the BRICS go back to 2006, and it was officially founded in 2000.
For those that they may not recognize him, this is Lula. He had a whole lot more hair. He was a little bit chunkier. So this is Lula right here, part of the founding members or founding people of the BRICS is right here. So let's continue. He's just breaking down what's happening with the bank, de-dollarization, and then we'll end this here.
2009. But there are also other institutions that make up the overall BRICS bloc. And one of those is the so-called BRICS Bank, the official name of which is the New Development Bank, or NDB. This was created as a global south-oriented alternative to the World Bank, which is dominated by the United States. The U.S. is the only country that has veto power in the World Bank. And
the United States is the only one to have, that's where I wanted to end it on. The United States is the only one who has power in the World Bank, which basically means they run that shit. And then you have, and I'll bring up the graphic just so you can see it. This is another scene that the U.S. is just in fear of, and it's these flags here, the new bank. Like this is definitely putting fear. This is what that segment, the propaganda segment we covered, that guy that was so mad. This is what he was trying to describe as the fear that they have is these flags uniting to say this shit is over, bro. This shit is over. And I'll leave it there, Nick. Any last words before we close?
Yeah, that's why I show you that segment, because that when he was melting down about India going away from the United States, Saudi Arabia going away from the United States, that's cope. Now they're trying to find a way to fit this cope into the red-blue game, which I also find fascinating to watch because
it's funny.
It is. Because now their line is saying like, "Oh my God, Biden has weakened us on the geopolitical world stage," and they may convince normies, but this is them admitting that their bipartisan empire strategy is failing. and now them trying to shift it to a position where they can gain partisan points. It's cope because it's gonna continue to happen, and just like under Donald Trump, the same way it does under Joe Biden, and it's gonna be funny watching them to spin that. So I'm gonna continue watching this. I'm gonna continue watching because the people who are crying right now about the United States falling influence are the people who I've been waiting to see cry for quite some time. So